Hello, pirates. Today I wanted to talk about using the Zelos or the Punisher if you just got it last raid too as tanks for Forsaken missions. So most people do them with mortar ships like Citadels or Nova Storms, led by a tank that will both take the damage and spot for the remote targeting. The Zelos makes for a very interesting choice. I've highlighted the advantages of each hull in green here, so we can quickly say that the base resistances on the Punisher are better, so is the evade, but the Zelos wins on pretty much everything else. It has more deflection, assault and siege. It has more speed. It has thermal range, which is good to detect those small pesky cryo mines in FM. It also has a built-in countermeasure. It's only one, but it helps a little bit already. It also has more than twice as much armor, with the downside being it takes a lot longer to repair. So you gotta build that guy so you hit some targets or you get your whole Forsaken mission done and repair overnight, because naked it's a 4 hour repair versus an hour and 40 for a Punisher. But the Punisher probably won't do as much with just half the armor. The other downside is the Zelos takes 2 days longer to build naked, but we'll see with the right build you can actually get them to a pretty similar side. You can see what I used today for my Forsaken mission tank. That's exactly my Punisher tank today. That ship with 5 Gales, 3 Flanks 4, 1 Cyclone launcher for spotting that allows the citadels coming behind to fire, and 1 death charge, so eventually can fire at the cryo mines when they see them, which the Punisher not having sonar kind of doesn't work. Anyways, a lot of D5X armor, and I use D5 because it buffs the deflection from 500 to 560, and that makes a big difference. I had other armors before without the extra deflection. When I added them, damage went way down. Okay, so deflection makes a big difference in these targets, especially the 109. That Punisher as is without any crews and followed by 3 citadels, I mean 2 citadels and 1 Harlock, can do 2 109s, and then I gotta dock and repair or coin the repair, whatever. Now here's the Zelos, right? The Zelos, since it has more armor, a lot more deflection, which I think is going to be key for it to be able to do 3 109s. So I haven't tested that yet, but that's my expectation. So I got them both to the same explosive and penetrative defense, 88, 89%. The Punisher still beats the Zelos in evade by a considerable amount, but the Zelos has 2,500 more armor, and it has a much faster combat speed, which allowed me to add heavy plating instead of MX3. So makes it a little bit more versatile with a decent ballistic resistance. And slowing it down also helps me with the citadels, because the citadels are fairly slow. The other advantage is because of the already very high deflection, I didn't need to use D5 armor. I'm using D1X and D1M all across the board. And that's what made both of them now have the same build time. The Zelos actually could be a lot less if I didn't add the launchers, but by adding the launchers, I'm giving it some destruction output, right? Some damage output of 52,000 versus 10,000 in that Punisher. Having the sonar, I've added and the thermal, I've added a Garwood. The 1 Garwood in the Zelos is there to kill the mines, so you don't walk into the cryo mines. You see and you kill them. And there's a small detail. I'm honestly not sure how much of a difference that's going to make, but the Zelos has a field that adds 5% accuracy, so that in theory could make the countermeasures a little bit better than they are in the Punisher. Not sure how much of a difference that's going to make. So that's it. It's a 17-day build for both. I believe the Zelos will be able, due to the higher deflection, to outperform the Punisher. It also has 50% concussive defense, I forgot to mention. That's going to be a lot better than 15 in the Punisher when you use hydraulic resistor. If you don't have hydraulic resistor, feel free to use Speed System 5. I had a discussion with George about the launcher to use. He's not a big fan of the Squall launcher. It is a weird beast, but in this context, it's the right one to use because it adds resistance, both explosive and penetrative, well, pretty much all types. But here, what we need is explosive and penetrative. So by adding 6 of them, I was able to match the same defense we had in the Punisher. That's the and it also doesn't add any armor, so it does not add to the already high repair time of the Zelos. In summary, both setups build in about the same time. They have the same explosive and penetrative resistances. The Punisher wins on the fact that it repairs faster, has more evade. On the other hand, on the downside, it can only do 2 109s. At least that's my experience with that setup. The Zelos has thermal. It has a built-in countermeasure that works both against mortar and missiles, so it's flexible. More deflection, which I wrote down twice in there. It's faster, and it has higher CM accuracy by 5% and a much higher concussive resistance. I expect the Zelos to be able to do 3 109s before you need to dock for repairs or even more, especially due to the deflection. That's the one key highlight. And the Zelos has some ability to do damage, which is something the Punisher on its own won't be able to.